Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to push you. If you want it, you better get up and fight for it. This world rewards the ones who move without applause. There comes a moment in every life, a moment where silence surrounds you.
No applause. No recognition. No reassurance.
Just you, alone with the weight of your dream. It is in that moment that most people stop. Not because they're weak, but because the world never taught them how to keep going without validation. They were raised on claps and compliments, on trophies for trying, on the warm glow of someone else saying, "You're doing great." But greatness was never born in applause. It was born in the shadows, in cold mornings when no one was watching, in quiet sacrifices when no one understood, in long nights when the rest of the world was asleep. Henry Ford pushed forward when every paper called him insane. Walt Disney was fired for lack of imagination. Thomas Edison was told he had failed 10,000 times. They didn't stop, because they weren't waiting for permission. They had already given it to themselves. So I ask you, are you waiting for someone to push you? To validate your purpose? To confirm that what burns inside you is real? Or will you become that someone? The world will not always believe in you. Sometimes, not even your friends, your family, your lover, your mentor. They will not understand the fire you carry. And that is not their job. It's yours. Because purpose doesn't shout, it whispers. And if you don't learn to hear it through the noise of doubt, you'll die with your greatness still inside you. This is the moment where you either collapse into the comfort of average, or rise into the discomfort of destiny. You want comfort? Then stay where you are. Numb the voice in your head. Scroll endlessly. Blame endlessly. Wait endlessly. But if you want freedom, real freedom, the kind that comes from knowing who you are and what you're here for, then you must learn to push yourself when no one else will. The discipline must be self-generated. The vision must be self-honored. The standard must be self-set. You don't need more motivation. You need to make a decision that says, I am no longer available for mediocrity. I will not wait for the world to cheer me on. I will become the source of my own power. Because the truth is brutal but liberating. No one is coming. Not to save you. Not to push you. Not to hold your hand and walk you to your potential. It's on you. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you rise. You see, belief is not magic. It is not a wish. It is not a fantasy you whisper in the dark, hoping the universe will hear you. Belief is a weapon. And like all weapons, it must be sharpened, gripped with intent, and used with force. It is the force that moves mountains long before any stone has shifted. It is the fire that burns in the soul before a single light turns green. When Napoleon Hill sat at Andrew Carnegie's feet, he was not taught how to get lucky. He was taught how to think, how to direct his mind like a missile locked onto a mission. Because if your mind is unfocused, your life will be unfinished. People pray for success with a mind full of chaos. They beg for breakthroughs while their vision is fogged by fear, distraction, and comparison. But nothing will move in your life until you decide exactly what you want, and believe without hesitation that it is already yours in spirit. Walt Disney saw an empire of imagination while standing on a cracked sidewalk with empty pockets. Edison saw the light long before the world did. Ford saw every family in America with a car when horses still ruled the streets. That is vision. And vision is not a luxury. It is your responsibility. If you cannot see the life you want with piercing clarity, how will you ever fight for it when life turns violent? Clarity is your armor. It protects you from the seduction of average. It keeps you immune to the virus of good enough. It reminds you why you started, when everything around you says, just quit. But clarity does not arrive on accident. You must sit with yourself. You must unplug from the noise. You must ask the brutal questions. What do I want? Why do I want it? What am I willing to suffer for? Because here's the truth they won't tell you. Your vision will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you approval. It will cost you temporary pleasure. but it will give you something greater in return. Yourself. You were not born to drift. You were not born to chase every trend, every buzz, every shallow dopamine hit. You were born to create direction, not borrow it. You were born to be a force, not a follower. And if you ever forget that, look around. Look at the graveyards filled with unlived dreams. Look at the tired eyes of people who traded their greatness for security. Look at the regret written on the faces of those who waited too long. You still have time, but not forever. Push yourself to believe when no one else does. Push yourself to see the end before the beginning. Push yourself to hold the vision so powerfully in your heart that not even failure dares to stand in your way. There is a moment when belief becomes something deeper. It becomes conviction. And conviction is born from one place only: purpose. Purpose is the why behind the war. It is the reason you keep swinging when you're bleeding. It is the anchor when the storms of life try to drag you into the dark. Without purpose, life is just noise. A meaningless cycle of wake up, work, scroll, sleep, repeat. You begin to move not toward anything but away from everything. Away from pain. Away from discomfort. Away from truth. But purpose, it changes everything. When a human being knows why they're here, they become unstoppable. Not because they never fall, but because they never stay down. Ask yourself this now with ruthless honesty. What are you willing to suffer for? Because purpose isn't proven when it feels good. It's proven when it doesn't. When you're exhausted, and you still show up. When you're doubted, and you still believe. When you're afraid, and you still act. That is purpose. And that is when discipline begins to matter more than motivation. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is a furnace. Motivation starts the fire. Discipline keeps it burning when the world turns cold. And let me tell you something about the world. It will test you. It will press every button, break every plan, pull every excuse out of you. And in those moments, you won't rise because you feel like it. You'll rise because you trained for it. Discipline is self-respect in motion. It's choosing your future self over your current comfort. It's waking up early when the bed feels warm. It's hitting the gym when your muscles are sore. It's writing the page, making the call, studying the craft. When nobody's clapping. When nobody's watching. When nobody gives a damn but you. And let me say this clearly. That is enough. Your purpose is enough. Your drive is enough. Your belief is enough. Discipline is what turns invisible dreams into visible results. Discipline is what built pyramids, forged empires, launched revolutions. Discipline is what took Edison through 10,000 failures. What took Lincoln through loss after loss before becoming a legend. What made Muhammad Ali say, "I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." And that, my friend, is the heart of this entire philosophy. Suffer now. Sacrifice now. Build now. Because the version of you on the other side of discipline is the version the world is waiting for. And if you don't meet them, if you don't become them, then this life was just noise, just wasted time, just lost potential. But if you do, if you push yourself when no one else will, you will walk through this life with fire in your eyes, steel in your spine, and peace in your heart. Because you'll know. You earned everything. Dreams are cheap. Everyone has them. Everyone talks. Everyone plans. But only a few act. And that's where everything changes. The moment you take action, the universe begins to rearrange. Not because it's magic, but because you finally moved. And motion is the one language the universe responds to without hesitation. You can journal all day, visualize all night, speak affirmations in the mirror until your voice fades. But if your hands remain idle, if your feet never move, if your will never touch the earth, then you're just dreaming out loud. The world doesn't bend to wishes. It bends to work. Action is the great separator. It is what builds the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. But don't mistake this. Action isn't always sexy. Sometimes it looks like chaos. Sometimes it looks like failure. Sometimes it looks like you trying and still getting it wrong. That's where most people fold. They confuse failure with a full stop, when in truth it's just a comma in your story. You will fail. You will fall. You will break. But you must keep moving. Resilience is not the absence of pain. It's the refusal to let pain have the final say. Ask any giant who's ever walked this earth. They didn't rise because life was kind. They rose because life was cruel. And they became crueler in discipline and stronger in spirit. They kept swinging while bleeding. They kept climbing while cursed. They kept standing after being knocked down 10 times because they knew 10 falls mean nothing if I rise the 11th time with more wisdom. Resilience is not some poetic ideal. It's your shield. It's your engine. It's the thing that makes ordinary humans do extraordinary things. But even resilience isn't enough unless it's married to something far more fluid. Adaptability. The world will not move according to your plan. It will twist. It will shift. It will throw you into storms you never saw coming. And you must be ready to adjust, not abandon. You must be willing to pivot, not panic. Because success doesn't go to the smartest. It doesn't go to the loudest. It goes to those who can bend without breaking. Who can lose today and learn so fast that they win tomorrow. Napoleon Hill didn't write Think and Grow Rich in one sitting. He was broke. He was stuck. He was doubted. And yet he kept refining, reframing, reinventing, until his words ignited a movement that touched millions. That is adaptability. The willingness to mold your methods while never betraying your mission. You're going to be tested again and again. And each time life will ask you, can you keep your purpose steady while the winds change? Can you trust the destination even when the road disappears? That's the question. That's the fire. That's the path. You won't always get it right. You won't always feel strong. But if you act anyway, if you rise anyway, if you adapt anyway, then you're already doing what 95% of people will never do. You're becoming dangerous. Not to others, but to the part of yourself that used to settle, delay, doubt, and give in. And when that old self finally dies, your real life begins. There is a power within you so deep, so quiet, so relentless, that most never discover it in their lifetime. Not because it hides, but because it only answers to those who demand it. This power doesn't shout. It whispers through resistance. It lives in the stillness between breakdowns. It breathes beneath the rubble of your excuses, waiting for the moment you finally say, enough, I will rise. And that power, once awakened, makes you dangerous in the best way, because you are no longer moved by opinions, no longer paralyzed by failure, no longer addicted to comfort. You are led only by faith, not the faith of fantasy, but the kind forged in fire, the kind that stands tall even when the evidence says give up, the kind that built empires, the kind that freed nations, the kind that Edison had every time darkness laughed in his face and he said, one more try. You must have faith in the unseen, because every dream begins invisible, and those who quit simply stop too early. They never waited long enough to see the invisible become real. You will be tempted to quit. The pain will be heavy. But listen closely. There is no glory in stopping halfway up the mountain. There is no greatness in almost. No triumph in trying. You were not born for almost. You were born to finish. To fight. To push when it's hard. To push when it hurts. To push when it's silent. To push when your soul is screaming for rest. But your purpose says, not yet. And even in the chaos, even in the exhaustion, even in the face of every setback, you must hold something sacred. Gratitude. Yes, gratitude. Not just for the wins. Not just for the praise. But for the pain. For the silence. For the struggle. Because those are the ingredients of your becoming. Gratitude for the days you didn't quit. Gratitude for the failures that taught you. Gratitude for the fear that introduced you to courage. Gratitude for the pressure that revealed your strength. Gratitude isn't weakness. It's awareness. It says, I see the storm and I honor it because it's shaping me into the warrior I was born to be. And that warrior is who you must become now. Not tomorrow. Not when it's easier. Not when the timing's perfect or the stars align or someone finally believes in you. Now, because no one is coming to push you. No one is coming to force you out of bed. No one is coming to do the reps, to hold the vision, to stay the course, to suffer the setbacks, to build the life you know in your gut you were born to live. That's on you. And when you accept that, when you embrace that sacred burden, something inside you shifts forever. You become unstoppable, not because you never fall, but because you always rise. So rise. When it's hard, rise. When you're tired, rise. When it's lonely, rise. When the odds are against you, rise. Because that is the standard now. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer begging. You are no longer hoping someone pulls you from the fire. You have become the fire. And no one can put it out but you. So push. Push with faith. Push with clarity. Push with rage if you must. Push with grace when you can. Push when it hurts. Push when you fail. Push until the world has no choice but to recognize what you already know. That you were never ordinary. That your vision was never small. That your spirit was never weak. That your destiny was never average. You were born to lead, to climb, to fight, to build, to break limits, to inspire generations. But only if you push yourself when no one else will. Now go. Your greatness is not a question. It's a decision. And today, you make it.